housing or cheap, affordable rental accommodation, especially for people who may be leaving university, going back home, getting their first job, need somewhere to live. You know, is there going to be a perception, at least, that other people will be prioritised?
And we keep being told, don't we, how many people in their 30s are still living with mum and dad.
Well, get used to it.
You know, not with this accommodation. I mean, unless they really do just kick on and build so much housing, otherwise it's going to push up rents, is it not? Joining us now to discuss this is former Royal Navy Commander, Rear Admiral Dr Chris Parry. What do you make of this plan from the new Labour government, then? Scrapping the use of military bases, scrapping the use of barge, hopefully scrapping the use of hotels, but instead sort of agreeing with local councils to take their fair share?
Well, I think the migration dam has burst, hasn't it? They can't actually contain it anymore. And what they're doing is abdicating responsibility for what is a national crisis down to council level. And the inevitable consequence of that is we're going to have increased pressure on already pressurised services relating to health, to crime prevention and education. And I'm just wondering how many resources are going to be devolved down from central level to actually pay for all this. Because I'm afraid to say, given Labour's current trajectory, they're going to be loading local community charge payers for this. It's going to be local people having to pay for this. And I think you're going to see even more dissent, disquiet as a result of what is a very ill thought through policy.
Yeah, it's taxpayer. This is it, isn't it? And there is, I'm sorry to say it, there is a link between some of the community frustrations, not all of them, not trying to excuse any of the actual criminality or anything, a link between just genuine fears and frustrations of people and the idea of literally this, having to pay for, you know, asylum seekers in your local area or people we don't know necessarily where they come from or what their past is. Actually, maybe them being given permanent residence there above other people in that housing queue. I mean, that is literally the problem in a nutshell here. There's also a story that I actually broke last night. It was an exclusive on my show last night. Yarlswood Immigration Removal Centre is going to see its capacity jump from 410 to 3,000. The government has got a contract out for tender on that. The implication here, by the way, Chris, is that this will take potentially 12 years to actually come to fruition. The implication here is that Labour is potentially admitting that they might accept the Channel migrant crisis for another 12 years as well. Do you see that going on?
Well, it's been going on for 16 years already, so I don't see why it shouldn't go on for another 12. The European Union has been trying to put together an external borders policy for 36 years. We still don't have one of those. I'm afraid people are failing to grip this. You know, I've seen lots of really good plans to deal with this crisis, but there isn't the political will or courage within our Houses of Parliament to actually deal with it. I think the other worry that most people have got in dispersing people who frankly are undocumented and also so unidentifiable into our local communities is, you know, how many people we're going to get in our vicinity we don't know their backgrounds. Are we going to find that everybody's got a mental health issue every time they commit a crime, for example? You know, I remember, I'm old enough to remember when we dispersed mental health patients into care in the community. It was absolute chaos initially, and we had lots of people on the streets. We had people roaming about the streets with very odd behaviour. I don't think it's been thought through. There'll be a lot of unintended consequences here, and I'm afraid it's typical of what we've seen in the first month of this government. Lots of knee-jerk reactions, trying to do too much too early. I'm afraid to say, failing the British public.
It does feel that way, and I think, you know, just average Brits are just fed up of seeing their taxpayer money go towards government failure. I mean, how many times have the government said they're going to crack down on illegal migration? How many times have they said we're going to reduce legal immigration? And it just doesn't happen. And then who is it that has to cough up for all of it? Well, it's just average Britons who don't have that much money themselves.
It's got an, you know, my 87-year-old grandma's fuel bills are going up this winter, and you simultaneously got the money for this kind of stuff. I think that raises serious
questions. Thank you very much, Rear Admiral Dr Chris Parry, former Royal Navy Commander. Thank you very much indeed.